Ever wondered how the top YouTubers keep you watching until the very end? Well, I've studied over 500 hours of the most popular YouTube videos to understand what makes their scripts stand out. So today, I'm going to reveal a simple script structure to get more views, a sneaky way that big YouTubers get you hooked with the opening line of the video, as well as a secret trick to get your viewers binge watching your channel. But first, what is the big mistake new YouTubers make that completely destroys their watch percentage? Now, this one is obvious, but I still see this all the time, and you would think this trend already died in 2010, but no.
Why Sigma males are more attractive than alpha males. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Anthony Spade channel.
Bro, nobody cares about your animated intro. First, it's cringe, and second, it just wastes the viewer's time. So
stop it. Get some help.
You see this graph right here? Look at this massive drop. These cringe intros are a big reason for this. But there's also another common mistake that causes this too. Before I reveal that, make sure to smack the like button, hit the subscribe and notification bell, bruh. And after you're done with that, check out my Instagram, my Twitter, OnlyFans, link is in the description. You see how that pissed you off? This might be the very first time you've seen my face, and I'm giving you 1,000 different call to actions. First of all, I gave you decision fatigue, as you've probably forgotten half the things I said. And second, you don't want to do it because I've given you no value. But what is the correct way to do your call to actions? So I want you to think back to the last time you watched a Netflix series. It's late at night, and after you finish this next episode, you're going to go to bed. But then something epic happens, and now you're left on a cliffhanger. So you gotta watch the next episode, and now you're stuck in a binge watching session. But what if I told you that you can do something similar with your YouTube channel? So instead of getting 1 view per viewer, you instead could get 2, 3, or even 4 views on the channel. And these long session times is something that YouTube loves, by the way. So the algorithm is going to promote your videos even more. But how do you actually set this up? Well, you can do that with this simple 3-step call to action framework. Here's how it goes, starting with step 1. Now, whenever you do a call to action, you don't want to make it obvious to the viewer, because as soon as the viewer realizes that the video is ending, they're just gonna click off, leaving you with a retention graph that looks like this. So what I do is have a subtle transition line which appears as if I'm just beginning another section of the video. And a simple way to do this is to just link back to something you mentioned earlier in the video. Here's an example. Let's say your video is about editing tricks to increase your watch percentage. You can then do something like this. Earlier, I mentioned how good editing can keep the viewer watching until the very end. Now after this line, we then go into step 2. And this is the hardest step to get right, so it's going to take some practice. So step 2 is where you want to create intrigue to then get the viewer to click on the next video. And you can do this by creating a new problem for the viewer. Even better if it's an extra piece of knowledge that the viewer needs to reach their goals. So to continue with our example, but if nobody clicks on your video, then even the best editing in the world won't save your video from failing. Which then takes us on to step 3. This one is straightforward. You will say something like this. So watch this video where I'll show you how to create intriguing thumbnails that gets clicks. And that's it. The goal of this last line is to just get the click. And by using this framework, you'll have a web of videos that gets the viewers binge watching your channel. Now you can have the best end screen call to action in the world, but if nobody gets to the end of the video in the first place, then it's not going to matter. And by far the place that the most viewers drop off is the opening 30 seconds. So how do we stop this? Well, flashback to more than 2 years ago, and I was trying to figure out a way to make money online. And that's when I came across something called copywriting, which is basically written content with the goal of having the viewer take a specific action, like making a sale. Now, although I ended up quitting freelance copywriting, the skills I developed ended up having a massive impact on my YouTube videos. And the most important skill was writing good hooks. There are many types of hooks you can write, but here are 3 simple ones to get started. Hook number 1. And it's actually one that I used in this video. Ever wondered how the top YouTubers keep you watching until the very end? This one is a question hook, and the reason it works is because it gets the viewer to answer the question in their head, and this extra layer of engagement makes the hook more interesting. This simple script writing hack can triple your views overnight. This one is a strong statement hook, which is self-explanatory, but if you want me to make a dedicated video to dive deep into each of these hooks, then let me know in the comments. And for hook number 3, remember the Netflix analogy I gave earlier? This is a metaphor hook where you use an interesting analogy or a story to explain a point. So we've gotten the viewer hooked by our intro, but how do we make sure the content is good enough to keep the viewer interested? Well, 3 years ago, I was beginning to try hard with this online business thing, so I was grinding through some books, and at the time, it was very difficult for me to read. I would read a few lines and then start daydreaming about something else, and then have to reread that part again. But I came across a book by Russell Brunson called .com Secrets. scripts. And this one was different. I didn't have any trouble reading it. And that's when I figured it out. Instead of just teaching the concept, Russell Brunson will share a quick story of how he came to learn this concept. And first of all, it made it more enjoyable for me as the reader, but also I retained the information better. And think back to what I've been doing throughout this entire video. I've been telling stories. In fact, I just did it with the Russell Brunson book story. So earlier I mentioned that good script writing is what makes or breaks a viral YouTube video, but writing can be tedious, especially for content creators that have other things to focus on like video editing and filming. So if you want your YouTube scripts written for you, then click the link in the description to see how you can work with me directly.